and welcome to the first series of these talks we plan to do every 3 or 4 months, which is named Rural Shaker Impact Stories, and which is basically about that, like projects like us that we somehow are dedicated to activate rural areas in the regions we operate. And we do it with an impact-driven perspective. So this is kind of the first edition of hopefully a series of talks that are going to be happening over every 3 months. We are all the time collecting impact stories and rural shaker impact stories from elsewhere in the 2 main languages, English and Spanish. So feel free to share your story, because there's not a deadline for applications. You can go to the website. I'm going to just share the form. If you consider that your rural shaker project is ready to share the measurable impact of their activity in the regions where you are operating, you can anytime submit your story in this link I'm sharing in the chat right now. So yeah, I'm gonna also repeat that at the end. So this is it. Very, very welcome to this first edition. I think I have to start talking about who more than what is this, because yeah, this is an idea that's been there for a while. The first time maybe 3 years ago, we have applied together with other rural shaker initiatives to funding, public funding for similar things in the past. So this has been there for a while, but it's like a collective idea. It's not just about Pandora Hub. We are kind of pushing and initiating this kind of proposal, but we hope this is a collective project, and this is made by and for other rural shakers. So that's why I think it's important starting by who. In this Rural Shaker Impact Stories #1 edition, we are 4 Rural Shaker projects, 5 Rural Shaker projects coordinating the talks. One is Ruralizity. They are taking part of the coordination of the Spanish program and the co-organization, general co-organization, and now they are hosting the technical part, and tomorrow as well, but tomorrow they will be hosting and presenting. Terraconta Comunicación, that is Sofia, is also connected. She is leading all the communication and RSS and social media. Coconut Vacation Retreat, where you will be listening to their impact story as well today. Julian is helping with the English program and also English communication and dissemination and also partnerships. And Brainco is also taking part of some technical preparations, previous technical preparations. But in the previous steps, there were many other rural shaker projects involved. Some of the local tabs you might know. Some of them are going to be giving talks because they have also applied or submitted some impact story. And that's it. So this is done with love by and for rural shakers. I'm going to go a little bit more deep on the concept of rural shakers, but we expect that this becomes whatever you want this to become, because this is, as I said, a collective project. A little bit about me. I'm Diana Moret. I'm the founder at Pandora Hub. I feel myself a rural shaker because I think that's the best way it describes what I love doing. I love nature, and I'm an animal lover as well, and I also love rural areas. I've been an driven entrepreneur for the last 15 years, working for big corporations as well, but from the impact side. And looking into my past, I was also having a rural connection. My grandmother, grandfather were farmers, and my father's family was displaced from a rural community because the building of a dam. So they have to force them to abandon their village. And I think this passion for old stones and abandoned villages is there since then, because my father often brought me to see his abandoned house, and it was very impactful. So yeah, I also facilitate impact-driven startups and design acceleration programs for Pandora Hub, but also for governments and other organizations that is not just Pandora Hub. And what is Pandora Hub? It's a bit difficult to explain sometimes because it's very non-formal thing. It's a group of people. There's around like 3,000 people connected somehow to us in one way or the other one. We are a mixture of startups, nomads, mentors, rural co-living spaces, rural locations nodes that is not necessarily just a co-living space, other things like incubators or hacker spaces, and about like a group of very diverse initiatives and people who share this passion for nature, the rural work, and impact-driven entrepreneurship, and we work remotely. That's a little bit what we have in common. We are trying to reverse rural repopulation by attracting and consolidating impact-driven projects to rural areas as a way of fostering or leveraging positive transformation of the locations we operate in. We are not anywhere, and we don't own anything. We are more like a connector organization. And we have been more than 5 years exploring ways of mixing remote work, impact-driven entrepreneurship and technology as a way for reactivating rural areas. So we've done several things. I'm happy to share with you the presentation if you want more detail. And the where is connected to the Rural Shaker initiative. So we have somehow collaborated with projects elsewhere, also in Bali. We were organizing acceleration programs. The where is, I like to say the where is wherever there are Rural Shaker projects we have collaborated with. And it's not just Europe or Spain. And some of the projects you will see them talking today and tomorrow. The previous steps of the Rural Shaker initiative, because the Rural Shaker impact stories as the first proposal of a broader initiative. I want to retrospectively review a little bit where all this is coming from. So the previous steps are part of the applications that we've been proposing this idea for a while. This summer, we've been organizing working sessions with rural projects. We had a network, and first working session like working is to these working sessions available for people elsewhere in the world. So the first working sessions were both in Spanish and English, aimed at exploring where we align it in the shared values by which the Rural Shaker initiative as an umbrella was being initially promoted. So we did some online sessions and workshops in which some of the speakers you will have today and tomorrow have taken part. And we basically, something happened, sorry. So we basically found out that in one extent or the other, our activity as a Rural Shaker project attracts and retains creative and entrepreneurial people to regions, and that this is done beyond the jobs we might create for enriching our own teams. It's not just entrepreneurship or impact-driven entrepreneurship. We are more like pollinizers. And our work is like a side effect, attracting other people, other companies, other impact-driven projects or NGOs to the region, not necessarily attached to our business model. And this could happen from a space, but this could also happen from a network perspective or from a consultancy perspective. So a Rural Shaker is not just about a co-living space or a space-based project. It's a pollinator kind of perspective, and it can take any shape. So there's also like artistic centers, there's also theaters. There's many things that are doing this kind of attraction and retention of interesting people to regions. In one way or the other, we see ourselves as catalysts for positive change in the territories we operate, and we actively involve the local communities and co-create our programs and activities with local actors in one extent or the others. Or we have a clear will to do so every time more, like to actively involve local communities, because we found that being impact-driven in terms of region and rural activation and rural intervention is directly related to the level of local involvement. So if you really want to make sure that your impact is going to be positive for the region, then you need to make sure that you involve the local community from the very beginning of whatever initiative or activity you want to take part or empower or initiate in the region. We are somehow also aligned with values such as empathy and local sensitivity, which connects with the previous idea. We are quite driven by innovation-based impact, not just innovation and that's it, technology and disrupting business models, but we are seeing that innovation is quite related to impact-driven innovation. That's the real innovation, making, doing good while doing well in a way. And we are also quite critical thinkers. We don't give anything for granted. We like to assess everything. We have a complex approach to our activities. And some of us also have this kind of analytic mindset, whether because we were consultants before, or we know design, human-centric design methodologies. And some of us, we also apply an ecosystemic approach to rural activation. So we like to have into account all the actors of an ecosystem. We just don't see one actor to another actor, let's say, interaction. We see this is way more complex, and we try to involve all the actors in whatever activity we are proposing. And we are somehow also aligned with generosity as a value. This is kind of the global assessment of the first working group sessions, both with the English group and the Spanish group. And we did another second session that was about exploring shared motivations for potentially being involved in the Rural Shaker initiative, and also asking to the people taking part of the working sessions in which extent they wanted to contribute for this initiative to come live before we decided to do these first talks. So the Rural Shakers initiative is something that is quite ambiguous still, and the first activity we are proposing to the community by and for Rural Shakers is this series of Rural Shaker impact stories. But that's the first proposal. We don't really know what's gonna go next. We'll have some ideas, but those two working sessions were the things that happened before the talks. I'm giving a little bit of context right now. So in terms of shared motivations and contribution levels, thanks to these two working sessions, one in Spanish, another in English, we were quite, we agreed a lot on the fact that we wanted to become a bit more visible, because we are not most of the time doing a lot of impact locally, which is our reason why, but we think that if we have ways of making this available to other projects and regions, hopefully we can transfer some of this knowledge. And also we would like to have a bit like global visibility also to help us open more doors. So visibility was quite present in the second working session as a way of why we would like to be part of this Rural Shaker initiative. Mutual support, mutual collaboration and connection with other like-minded rural shakers in the world. Because as I said, this is not just a country phenomena. These kind of rural shaker projects are happening elsewhere. Japan, South America, Mexico, Latin America, Canada. It's a global phenomenon. So we see a lot of value of global initiative giving the chance to connect with all this community who is attracting and retaining creative and entrepreneurial people to whatever region in the planet. We also found that it's important for the people invited to the previous sessions, sharing the knowledge and sharing experiences, learning from each other. And also we thought of what if we started to collectively apply to public funding, and instead of going separately and each one of us proposing small projects, what if we cross-pollinate some of our strengths and apply together to related EU funding or private funding? And so the 4 contribution levels that are still open in a way. The first one is co-initiation. So at the moment, it's just Pandora Hub in this level. It's like a global coordination level in which Pandora Hub is investing time and dedication from our team for taking care of the cross needs of the Rural Shaker initiative as a whole, not just the talks. And for the co-initiators, what we are asking is like at least 2 of the 3 maturity levels that we found, being financially sustainable, having measurable impact, and or having transferable projects that are successful projects and impactful projects that are ready to adapt to other regions. So out of these 3 maturity levels, what we are asking for potential co-initiators, that this is something that is still open because the project needs dedication, needs team, is at least meeting 2 of these 3 maturity levels. The other contributor level is co-creator, which means is people Rural Shaker projects or experts who have enough knowledge to become trainers or to provide talks or to provide contents of whatever initiative we are launching. So co-creators of content or value to the community. And then collaborators for specific projects or initiatives that could arise from the Rural Shaker initiative as a whole. So, for instance, Rural Shaker Impact Stories is one initiative. And as I said in the beginning, we are Pandora Hub Plus for collaborators for making these talks possible. And the last level of collaboration is dissemination. So people who are not able to take part in any other previous levels, but they are happy to spread the wall and make this, to help us enlarge our reach in their own networks. And here we are. So this is the first session or version of something that, as you see, we would like it to become whatever you want it to become. We don't know. And the first proposal is a very simple thing. It's a 2-hour talk. Today is going to be 2 hours, tomorrow 2 hours in Spanish, in which every semester we will invite 10 rural shakers from around the world, 5 in English, 5 in Spanish, that have an impact story to share. So they have measurable impact. First of all, giving them visibility of their success impact stories worldwide. As I said, that was one of the main motivations we found in the previous working sessions. And also giving first-hand inspiration to other early stage rural shakers that are pretty much starting for them to reinvent the wheel. So sharing knowledge, we hope this is gonna create shortcuts for projects that are starting in terms of rural shaking. And as I said, rural shaker impact stories applications are always open, and the more we receive, the more rural shaker impact stories we will organize in the future. So you can go on the website, and down on the website, Rural Shakers, Pandora Hub /Rural Shakers. You go down and you will see at some point, submit your story. And what we are foreseeing, and that's very much the end, of course, we will do what we can with the resources we have. This is completely self-funded and co-created by projects. We do it as a volunteering thing. So we will ask you at the end what would like it to happen afterwards, but we have some ideas. So we are envisioning potentially online training, peer-to-peer online training sessions, because we also have some methodologies that we use for activating rural areas, our own methodologies, mixture of previous methodologies. So potentially this could become an online training. So we can also share people, rural shaker projects that have methodology can share their knowledge in a bit more structured way. We also see one-on-one mentoring sessions or counseling sessions by hour for rule shakers that have this level of maturity, that want to share their knowledge with other rule shakers starting. And we are also thinking of organizing monthly Q&As all together for asking questions, sharing stories, but not so like a program. Say, for instance, Julian could host one of the monthly Q&As and have a group of rule shakers asking her questions, like 20, 30 rule shakers about Coconut Spades or in general her experience. And why not? Because at least in Pandora Hub, we've been designing or organizing incubator and acceleration programs for a while, and weekend sprints for entrepreneurs. So the users and beneficiaries of us as rule shakers. But why not? Starting now to coordinate, design, and co-create with other rule shakers acceleration programs and incubation programs specifically address and design it by and for rule shakers. This could also be possible. And why not? Some of us would be also ready to become an incubator or social venture builder for rule shakers that are starting. This is already happening a little bit in our case. We're happy to open up our knowledge if we find ways to not decapitalize our NGO. But yeah, it's a way of opening up our experience so other people can start with projects like this with an impact-driven perspective. And why not, over time, creating a rule shaker toolkit. If the training goes further, maybe why not creating a certification, so training for trainers, and people can share and co-create materials, methodologies, and why not a physical institute, and why not a yearly summit of rule shakers every year in one rule shaker project worldwide. So that's a bit the plan. We don't really know what's going to happen. At the moment, all what we can say is join our talks, join the talk today and tomorrow. Join us, write us a line. If you have ideas of collaboration, if you think you can join as co-initiator, we really need hands for foreseeing and making other initiatives happen. So feel free to write to me and we'll have a conversation soon about it. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say about the idea, and hopefully we can co-create that in the next months. And from here, I'm just going to present the speakers of this afternoon. We are already 47 people, and I'm really amazed about the first speaker. The first time I heard his story, I was even asking anything. I was just like, wow, there's many rule shaker projects and initiatives and diversity there. You can have anything, pretty much anything. I have a chicken buns now. So yeah, Johaf is gonna talk about how he funded Alto das Fadas, which is difficult to explain, but it's basically like a safe space, artistic perspective space in a rural area in Portugal that is gathering the community of LSGBTQI worldwide community. It's not just a local community. They are more than 100,000 associates worldwide. This has been going on for more than 40 years now. And they just recently opened up the second base camp in Europe. Is that right? And they have pretty outstanding indicators if we want to talk about numbers. In the last year, they have hosted more than 50 core Portuguese people to the space in retreats or engaged in some kind of facilitated content. They have more than 300 visitants from elsewhere as well. And 2 people moved to the region in Portugal so far because of their action. This in 1 year, I think, is a lot. So without more wait, I'm gonna pass through my word through Johaf, and I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
Thank you very much, Diana, for this introduction. I hope I will keep it up with the expectations. Let me just share my screen. Yes. So, hi everybody. Wonderful to be a part of this group and to be able to tell a story that is a little bit different. This sanctuary slash cultural space that we founded in Portugal in February 2019 is really, I think, one of the most, it is the thing that I'm proud the most of in my life. I have so many things to tell about. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to make it in 10 minutes, but I'm going to try. I'm going to squeeze it. If I'm speaking too fast, just stop me. One thing that I have to say before in advance, this space is a safe space. I couldn't really share pictures of people due to privacy reasons. So I kind of like shared a little bit pictures from the space itself that I took and without people in them. So I hope you can kind of get the vibe from it. So maybe a little bit of background data. Many people would like to move to the countryside from the queer community, but they cannot. Why they cannot? First of all, a little bit of data. I think there was an American research that said that about 20% of the queer community, of rural queers, live in rural areas compared to, let's say, 40 to 50% in other places. Queer people prefer to stay in the city. They have a more supportive community. They have culture. It's very difficult for them to move to the countryside and find their place. They're usually more vulnerable for discrimination when it comes to a conservative countryside. They're more prone to loneliness and isolation for reasons that I mentioned before. It's not just the area around them that is usually they're very old, but it's mostly the old people that are staying, the young people moving back to the city. And out and who they are and express themselves the way they want to. And they also have less access to social and mental support, which is quite important, especially in the case of the queer community, when there's lots of mental issues, lots of stress and anxiety and depression, in percentage more than in the hetero community. The people who do make it to move to the countryside are usually the ones that are a bit more normative. So the space that I'm going to tell you about soon is targeting queer people from the entire spectrum. The entire spectrum means not just gays or lesbian, but a lot of emphasis on trans people, non-binary people, find themselves a little bit outside of the norms when it comes to sexual orientation. A little bit about the context of how all of this actually managed to happen. So the Radical Fairies, I'm not sure if some of you have heard about it, is a big queer community founded in the United States in 1979 as kind of like a part of the hippies movement of the 70s. The idea is to create an alternative to the urban queer culture and create something that is a bit more rural, a bit more connected to nature, a bit more spiritual. It's very prominent in the United States. There are about 9 or 10 sanctuaries already, but in Europe there's only one. That one was in France on the border with Germany. It was established in 2005 by about 10 people that came from Germany and the Netherlands. And it's a house in the middle of nowhere, the forest, a really, really beautiful place with wonderful people.
Johan, sorry to interrupt. There's a very bad sound. Maybe you could get near from the microphone. Yes. I thought it was me. My way better, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You can go near from the screen.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, so started about 15 years ago. Today, this space attracts more than 1,000 people each year that comes to gatherings and retreats. Most of them are from France, even though the space was established by people outside of France. It kind of shows about the local impact in the area, and it's a very successful problem. Sorry, I'm not sure what's happening to my microphone. The problem is that it's in full capacity and it's only operating 6 months a year in the summer season, because in the winter season it's too cold and too snowy. So we're thinking a lot within the group, within the community, where we can create a space which is open all year long in a place that actually needs it. And a few places was examined, and eventually we found a beautiful land in Portugal. And we got on the land in February 2019. The space can fit about 30 people through retreats and gatherings. We're hoping to extend it later on. There is 15 acres of land, which is quite big. We have an entire beautiful valley, quite secluded. We have almost no neighbors. And yeah, let's move to the next one. What is really unconventional about this project? It's not just a regular non-for-profit. It's a project that is 100% run by volunteers. Everybody who wants to contribute, if they want to facilitate, if they want to build stuff, if they want to just guard the land, if they want to do communication, 100% by volunteers from all over the world. 100% crowdfunding. We got money from no external resource, but the community members who reached to the invitation and decided to donate money so we can start renting the land. We didn't buy the land. For now, we are just renting the land. It's 100% inclusive, a little bit of a hash there. It's an inclusive for all types of LGBTQs. It is not really inclusive for heterosexual. There's the idea is that there's a lot of spaces for heterosexuals. We would like to create a space that is safe for non-heterosexuals. It doesn't mean that you cannot ask a lot of questions, but we would ask, you know, if you cannot come to the space and leave it for those people to feel safe and private. I'm not sure what we need about. We have 100% flat hierarchy, which means we work mostly with holacracy, but we kind of adjusted it to the community itself. We have a bit of a managing circle, which is kind of like a board, and with that board, we're taking decisions. But it means also that everybody within the community can step up and take part in decision making and take part in general in maintaining the land. Like most of your projects, which I'm pretty sure they're quite amazing, we promote values of sustainability, simplicity, non-consumerism, connection to nature and to spirit, which means that everybody have the freedom to express themselves and to explore themselves in any way that they want, not just sexually or based on their sexual orientation. Some of the positive impact that Diana already mentioned, we have 20 plus retreats, which is about 1 week long each, every retreat. We have more than 300 people that have visited the space, some of them as far as New Zealand, Australia, and even Chile. As Diana said, 2 people already moved to the region. Hopefully more people will move soon, including myself. 50 plus queer Portuguese joined the community to the space and contributed and facilitated and so on. The challenges. What kind of challenges we have? So I guess that like any other project, but specifically this project that is quite flat, we have a lot of problems with internal conflicts. There is no one who's in charge. There's no leader that can take decisions. So we have to take them ourselves. Also the fact that everybody have a similar sexual orientation, that's kind of like a sensitive topic, also means there's usually more conflicts around that area. Slow decision-making process, again, because of flat hierarchy and execution, which is also quite difficult. Most of the people that are working on the project are people that are not from Portugal, but we already have some Portuguese people that have joined. I don't know if you can see me, guys, because I think there's a problem. Okay. Let me know if there's any problem. And yeah, and sometimes things take a little bit of time, especially in front of the Portuguese authorities. Lack of leadership also usually drags a lack of accountability, which means people are coming to this project, which is a bit anarchistic in nature. They would like to contribute. Sometimes it's very difficult for them to find a way to contribute. And then sorry, I'm just getting a phone call. And then they can't really get themselves involved the way that they want to, or they start getting involved and then they leave. This is one of the risks that we're taking, having a bit of a chaotic structure, but also a very flowing structure, which enables everybody to take part in some way or the other. Some external challenges that we have, hostilities. So as I said before, we have no neighbors, almost no neighbors, but we have some neighbors that are a bit problematic. A couple of months ago, there was even an attack with an air gun towards some people from the community who were sitting outside. So those kind of things that we have to solve. Not entirely sure if the background to this act is not quite sure if the background for this act is hostility towards LGBTQs, but it's a bit problematic. We have fires in the land. The picture that you can see is from September. 2 months ago, the land actually caught fire entirely. The house survived, but everything around it got burnt, which is quite sad, and we're hoping it's going to restore itself very quickly. And also with COVID-19, which means that we cannot do more gatherings, big gatherings anymore. And that's a big problem financially, because the way that we make money is usually through gatherings. So people come and donate money so we can pay the rent. I'm reaching the end. This is the last slide. Few lessons that I've learned from this adventure that I started taking on myself 2 years ago, and I'm still learning. First of all, learn to let go of your own assumptions. Whatever you think that is right for a place, for a rural space, if you want to work with a bigger community, put it aside, because things might develop in a different way. So let that go. Allow things to change around you. Don't get attached to your own ideas. You might think that you know the best, but it doesn't really matter in that context. Have a clearer internal structure. One of the things that are part of these communities, it works in anarchy, which means that everybody can do everything that they want, but sometimes it's not work if you want to do something for the long run. So you have to come up with a very, very strict structure before you start. Also have a good structure in front of institutions. It's also very important. And a little bit of a personal lessons. When it comes to empowerment, it's very important to empower more people that usually for more struggle layers of society, to take leadership roles. One of the things that I've learned in a way is that I might be a part of the LGBTQ community, but there are other people that needs to be empowered and they need to lead these projects. I kind of like set back a little bit. I allowed other people that are more trans, more non-binary to take the lead on this project and make an impact, because we might be a minority as LGBTQ, but we have minorities within minorities, and we also need to support them. I don't know if I made it in 10 minutes, but thank you very much for not stopping me, and sorry for the interruption in the background. I will be happy to answer questions later on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe. Very, very inspiring. I think you were really right on time. Technical team saying you are just 10 minutes. Amazing. A lot to tell and very emotional and delicate things to share in such a few time. So thank you so much for sharing your story. It was really valuable. And I hope it moved me a little bit. I hope it moved a little bit each of the people who is in the room right now. So I'm going to present the next person who somehow as well, in my case, made me surprised about her story and how rural Germany is shaking itself, themselves. There's a lot going on in rural Germany. And yeah, well, just to close up with Johav, wait till the end, because we're gonna sum up all the questions. If you want to write them down, but don't share them now in the chat unless they're gonna go backwards and it's going to be difficult to read them. So write them down somewhere, and when we finish with the 5 talks, we're gonna share them in the chat, and we're gonna try to respond all of them. So yeah, keep the questions for the end. So as I said, the other project that got me very surprised when I get to know about it is Netzwerk. Sorry, I'm really bad at pronouncing Germany. Netzwerk Zukunftsforte. And it's a thing of how German people in general, from cities, from Berlin, from big capitals, are already moving to rural regions and are organizing themselves as networks because they see the importance of connecting all the rural shakers that are in rural Germany. In this case, is in Brandenburg. And they are having amazing impact as a whole, but also some of the specific projects. Some of them are creating 22 jobs in just 5 years, 14 of them fixed jobs. That's completely nonsense. It's too much. So I'm really happy to have Uleska to talk about her experience of trying to give voice to the notes of the Netzwerk Zukunftsforte, the network Zukunftsforte in in rural Brandenburg that have acquired in the 4 years that exist more than 1,500 network members that created for the network 2 jobs, but I don't know how many jobs all the different nodes of the network created together. That could be, I don't know how many, maybe we can count that later on, Uleshka, and connected more than 10 regional networks in Germany. So thank you for your time and for sharing your impact story now. Thank you, Uleshka.
Thank you. Yes, I much looked forward to it. Also, I'm very impressed about your art story, but I guess we will talk about it later. But yes, I'm very much looking forward to this now. Okay, so I will share my screen as always. Okay, is that working? Can you see what?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, so hello everybody. My name is Uleshka and I'm from Netzwerk Zukunftsorte, which is how it is pronounced. And it basically stands for a network of impactful locations in rural Germany. So we see these rural projects as spaces for experimentation because we find new ways of working, living and transforming land and buildings that are already there. There's a bunch of topics that apply for many of our projects. And it's basically about creating new culture and a new quality of life. So for everyone involved and especially also for the rural area as a whole. So now I would first like to talk a little bit about what our network does and then get into some of the projects as examples to show like how much impact they actually have. So how it all started, on the left there's Philip, there's also Julian from Coconut. So they started with co-working, then they founded their first like Coconut version, you know, and experimented, and now it's obviously in a really great space today. And Philip, being from Brandenburg, he embarked on a 5-week tour, you know, exploring, and he discovered that there are all these places, like amazing places around Brandenburg that don't have any visibility. So, you know, having a programming background, he made a nice blog, and very easily he got all these locations on the map. And we got really good feedback from the projects who often didn't know. They had all these other nice projects as neighbors, yeah? So they actually found out through us. And also we got feedback from all these Berliners who want to move out of Berlin or be involved in those projects. So they ask us where to find them, where to find empty buildings, how to do it. So there's immediately, we got with the newsletter and stuff, and very much of a consulting role as well. And now like this blog is actually also copied to other states of Germany, which makes us very happy as well. And out of this actually this Netzwerk Zukunftsorte that we have today, where a couple of these projects got together to support each other and share their knowledge about like how to really do it hands-on from project to project. And these are just 10 of the ones that we started with. Now we have more, we have new applicants every day. And we basically created our own set of criteria. So it's obviously working and living in the place, not just commuting. Digital work culture plays a role, and you definitely need to be actively involved in, you know, like bringing rural development to the whole area and beyond. So generally we bring people together who want to get engaged in rural areas. For our members, we have various things, but what works really well is Slack as our communication platform to, you know, really exchange stuff between people right away. For example, I had lots of like building materials the other day and I could just offer it to the whole crew and somebody else took them. You can promote your events. You can ask for funding feedback, say, here's my presentation. What do you think? Do you have a contact here and there? So this really, Slack really enables us to like contact and help each other really instantly. Then we also connect to other active networks, you know, like some are more political, some are more about funding. Many of these projects also consult other projects and people of how to do it, because as we all know, it's not so easy to create projects in the countryside. We want the projects to flourish really, so we get together and share our experience about this whole like group processes, financing, forms of organization, governance, urban rural integration, and like cooperation with administration. We also set up like some kind of like digital learning groups, like community of practice, where we coach currently like 12 up and coming German projects in the countryside, bring them together, and also invite experts answering their questions about like financing or stuff like that. Then we also get involved politically and a bit scientific at times, you know, like we're contacting people and stakeholders and important decision makers, like ministers or like business development. Here's like Julia from our network. She brought like a minister and key stakeholders to like a super nice festival and got them in like stage discussion. And then later on, he like carried on all this knowledge back to like really high level politics about gentrification in the countryside, actually. So, you know, there's all these interesting political things happening as well. We do deep analysis of rural uses in like a research paper, so quite a lot of writing and research. There was a big study about, you know, future places in general movement. Generally, we take part in lots of surveys, discussions, interviews, these kind of things. And we also do recommendations on funding approaches, because we have very good contacts to some authorities. Often they call us, say, hey, there's actually a big grant, we know you have good projects, you know, let them know that they should apply for a fund now. So we kind of got ourselves into this position, mainly in Brandenburg, where it really helps to, you know, like support each other. There's, for example, a small pamphlet that we made for local authorities, like so 4 little villages, to explain them how they can get active, how they can make their village more interesting, how they can find new ways in rural development and find the right people to come and bring life to their vacant villages. Also then some other formats that we do, this is something that we call like a vacancy safari. So we basically bring buildings, people and concepts and key decision makers together, and, you know, help them to hopefully, you know, like each other, so that then a nice project is going to start. Our goal is to have 1,000 locations until 2030. Let's see how that goes in our network and really support them. We're building our that's what we're doing right now. We're quite proud about it. This one, we are starting it as of December. We've got like a 3-year research project funded together with a city and community of Arnhem-Münde, where we're really going to do that. So we're going to find people, we're going to put them there, we're going to help them with the whole development from like city and people together, and hopefully like really going to make it happen. So being somewhat experts in funding, you know, we also managed to create these 2 paid jobs, which we're quite happy about. And then of course there's always like little projects coming in every now and then. So finally, I'm racing through this time thing about some projects. Let's start with this one. Gut Stolzenhagen is a community. They bought like a big piece of land close to Poland about 20 years ago. And in these times, they established like 8 businesses, and it's probably actually more than that already. Also some that are relatively unusual, maybe. Let's start with maybe like super nice furniture design. I know he did all the nice furniture there, and then he's like doing furniture and interiors for many different projects now. Teresa performance school, yoga, bodywork, this kind of stuff, with international people joining in events. Then some actually external other people came. These are actually real cowboys. They trained as cowboys, and they do like super organic farming on a higher level. They're breaking all the German farming laws, which is, they also get quite political with this. Other guest houses, so there's a lot happening in the area. And also from the people who started this, they thought, let's do more, and they bought this huge abandoned concrete factory where they have even more space to do stuff. Another region is Gerswalde in the German Uckermark, also north of Berlin. It's kind of famous for DJs, artists, like hiding away from Berlin. Bottom right is Lola Randl. She is a German filmmaker, and she bought a huge stretch of land there, but she didn't want to be there alone, so she networked, invited so many people, and she documented all these, rural people coming to the countryside and trying themselves out of how to make it happen. And she made a big cinema production movie about it, which is a really sweet portrait of also involving all the, rural village people, like this twin couple here on the bottom right, like of how they see the city people and how it's like a beautiful exploration together. It's the movie that she did. And while she was there, like so many things established, there was lots of articles calling it like the hipster village of Brandenburg, Korean amazing gallery, new, like, I don't know, fashion design. This Japanese is like packed every week. I mean, now not with Corona, but usually there's like long queues of people are wanting to have like coffee and cake there. So 15 businesses established since they bought it 2014, and like many businesses that you wouldn't maybe expect in like a rural countryside. Was also super nice is to see that the village now has their daily supermarket back, like something that they totally didn't have anymore before. Then some nice numbers, that happen in that area. I like that there's so many people from all over the place actually fully living there. So it's really international. Also what I like is that they're active in the local football team, just as a little fun fact. And close to that same area is another project, Lipken, part of our network. They had this slightly ugly old GDR building. The village wanted to knock it down because it was so ugly and empty, but they didn't even have money for that. And then 3 artists came, they said, oh, just give it to us for pretty much nothing, and we're going to turn it into something. And so they did. And they have a super active community of like artists, creative entrepreneurs, people coming there to do really focused work in nature, lots of events, a lot with like local food and stuff. And yeah, they're really doing well. And because they actually managed to do this, now these ugly buildings are actually in demand again, which is basically thanks to their work that they've done. Last one is Gut Boltenhof, which Diana already mentioned. It's a very beautiful, huge, old farm with like a manor house and cattle and everything. And this Jan Uwe, this really amazing entrepreneur, bought this just 5 years ago, and he just really rocked. He said, okay, I want to have this authentic, beautiful place where people can come, young families can be, everything that you really need should be there. And so, first of all, he has a beautiful hotel where you can stay. He has like 45 guests staying in these other little places to stay. So, you can go there immediately if you want. There's definitely always stuff to do, like also business model wise, he does like really well paid events and conferences stuff happening there. Beautiful big hall. During Corona, they used it and they did like kids yoga. There was just, even during Corona, there was always so much stuff going on because they just used the space that they had. And pretty early, he also realized that food is always super important, So first of all, he makes his own food. He has this farm shop where you can go all the time. He actually has the animals. And then they have this super, super high-end food line with this, I don't know, sorry if you're vegan, with this like amazing high quality meats and stuff that they distribute to Berlin top of the line restaurants with all the animals. There's like kids who come to the feeding every day. There's like so much happening. I like this next to each other, pigs and Tesla electric car charging. Since he realized that food is so important, he got like really high-end people from Berlin coming to make high-end food so that people say, I want to go to the countryside, but it shouldn't feel like countryside. It should be like top of the line. And so just some numbers of how many people actually come and stay overnight. What I liked was when I went there for the first time, I went to the cafe and ordered like coffee and cake. And then they said, oh, sorry, we don't speak German. And I was like, oh my God, I'm in the middle of Brandenburg, in the middle of nowhere. And they don't even speak German because it's really international. And they have like super interesting people mingling there from all over the place. So I thought it was like a quality thing. Also the Indian chef, he was new there when I met him. He was there, it was his first week. He just arrived from Berlin. He's been all over the place, all over the world cooking before, but he's this really striving person. And he said he's never been to Brandenburg before, but he just moved there because it was so beautiful, amazing people, and nowhere else does he have all these possibilities to really do this whole experience of, like farm to the table and really bring in his experience holistically. So I thought it was quite great. Jan over, he managed to create all of these jobs, you know, since he's there. And also like on all levels, so that people can come, and especially young families, they just want to come and stay, you know, like they have 11 people moved there already within these 5 years, like full time, basically. They have waiting lists for more people coming. Second residency, 20 people, so that's 31 people who are spending a lot of time there already. And he cannot keep up with re-renovating the building so that more and more people can move there. He created jobs, revived the economy. He made everything super beautiful. It's such a joy to go there. So I think it's quite an impressive project as one of ours. That was Brandenburg in Germany for you. If you have questions, just let me know. Thank you.
I want to go to Germany. Oh my God, you have it sorted out. Everything is there.
Some of
amazing. Thank you so much, Uleshka. Thank you. So as I said, keep the questions, write them down, and share it at the end. We have 3 more talks coming up. The next one, it's Julian from Coconut Spades. I know Julian for a while, when I pretty much was starting with Pandora Hub, and we met in Bali. They were also starting with Coconut Spades, and I was absolutely amazed about the indicators when she recently specified them to me. So in the last 4 years, they have had more than 3,000 visitors. 15 new inhabitants moved to the region where they are. It's like 1 hour from Berlin. And they have raised more than 6 million euros in grants and also by regional and international awards. So Julian, we are really looking forward to hear your story and the details of how you got that and what were your learnings and lessons learned from the last 4 years.
Thank you. Let's see if I can do everything. Do from the beginning. Let's go. Come on. Okay. Hello, everyone. Yep, I'm Julian. Oh no, it didn't work. Almost. There. I think it's working now. I hope. Great. So I'm Julianne Becker. I'm co-founder of Coconut. We are, as everybody here, an impact-driven company. So we base our value more on impact than on capital growth. We do this through an innovative model of tourism. So we combine workation, co-working, and co-living, along with special projects that focus on rural development. We try to create an open and diverse community life so that everyone that comes here can pursue their own dreams and their own visions, no matter which professional background they come from. And we wanted to feel inclusive and inspiring for everyone, so also for our neighbors. We opened in May 2017, although we've been working on the project since 2011. So hence why Diana met me many years ago in Bali, and why Uleshka also mentioned our pilot project in 2015. So it took us a long time to start. So it's easier, maybe some things easier in Germany, but not everything. Actually, I've got updated numbers. So actually, since our opening, we've hosted more than 7,000 people. Yeah, both with our workation, co-living, and also with our local co-workers. Along with our sort of business sides, so I also mentioned that the more rural development side, the other things that we do. So we support local business development and also existing local businesses. We began actually with partnerships with local massage therapists and yoga instructors who use our on-site facilities and also can access our clients, but they also bring their own. We also supported, in the picture, you'll see the mobile Musterei, which is a mobile juice making facility, which was running on-site for the last few years. And since the beginning, we started to get recognized for some of the things that we were doing. So in the first year, we had more than 2,000 visitors, and even before the first year of being finished, we were already awarded a prize for bringing new demographics to the area, which was kind of a strange award to get, but actually was, now looking back on everything, I really find it pretty nice thing to get recognized for. And then other people started to see us. So one of the first, another thing that developed out of our project, we hosted a Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs. She developed her own project for people who would like to settle in the countryside. She's still running consultancy in that direction. So it was really nice. She spent actually 1 year here, lived here, brought her tiny house here, and developed her project at Coconut with our partners as well. We also started to be a point of interest for other people. So our neighboring mayor would bring projects here. Sometimes he wouldn't even tell us he was coming, like he did with Kodorf, who ended up opening here. He brought the architecture team from this project who was looking for real estate to develop a tiny house housing development. And they actually decided to go ahead and do it in our region. So that's been pretty exciting. And a lot of our guests are actually buying into the tiny house development, which I'm really looking forward to, although it probably will take more time. Also pretty quickly, we initiated the founding of something called Smart Village, which is sort of an umbrella program for other rural development projects to be under. So there were already at least 20 projects running the last time that I counted. And the management has just been taken over. We were managing it ourselves, and then we finally got the funding so that we could hire a real project manager who could focus only on that, which is really amazing. So I'm very happy about that. So you can also keep an eye out for Smart Village. I know that Uleshka already knows them too. One of the first projects we did under the Smart Village project was something called the Bad Belzig app. This is where Coconut, we worked in a way more of using our network. So we found someone to draft the call for developers and what was actually needed for Bad Belzig. Bad Belzig is the town, sorry, so just to be clear, Bad Belzig is the small town that we're associated with. The app was built for residents and visitors to aggregate all of the events that happen around, which is very difficult to talk about in the rural space. If you have an event, it's hard to find out what's going on and where things are. It also integrates other services, basic things such as like trash pickup, but also integrating a tool which will be used for car sharing, as mobility is a really big issue in this area and most rural areas in general. If you don't have a car, it can be a problem. The app has already won national prizes, and it's been requested for development in 15 other rural communities. And we also see that the future of the app will be directed towards German-wide goals of digitizing public services. So again, with like mobility being an issue in the rural space, access to public services is actually quite difficult for myself to go from where I live to the Foreign Affairs Office or to get my driver's license. I either must drive 45 minutes by car or take 90 minutes of public transport one way. So I'm really happy about these things. Other developments, so already on site, we are the registered address for 10 businesses. All of them actually work here part-time. Some of them are much more active. You'll see Milan Cafe. They are a cooperative of artisans. They sell their work here, but also have a small cafe. We have Smart Villages on site. We have Flaming Kitchen has actually existed in the region for many, many years. They cook for protests. So they're cooking for like 30,000 people at protests. It's a really amazing project, and they're here now too. Another project that you'll see there is Neuland 21, Neuland 21. They wrote the report, which is already mentioned by Uleshka, this Urbane Dorfer, which is about people moving like from the cities to the countryside. And they moved their headquarters here, which has actually been a very amazing development because we, in the context of Smart Village, asked them to help to write a grant application for the cities of Bad Belzig and Wiesenburg, which are two small communities that are both 5 kilometers away from Coconut. And they wrote the application, which was successful, and won. Actually, now we found out it's actually 7 million euros in money to help digitalization projects in the context of city development. And this is actually a super amazing thing for us because, like, Berlin also applied for the same grant, which it was granted. They got 9 million and we got 7 million for our small community of about 30,000 people. And last week, when we had the kickoff meeting, we were able to meet the jury that selected us. And the jury told us actually that they were very impressed with the application because it was full of more unique and well-informed ideas about what digitalization means, whereas a lot of the larger cities were using what they called newspaper knowledge. And it was just it was really good. It was really amazing to see that our networks are really looking at the needs of the community and developing things really for the community, not in really like interesting and unique ways. This grant will also be managed by Smart Village, which is also great that we have already put it in the framework in place in this region to manage something like this. Now to get back a little bit more just to Coconut. So we are still searching for a cost-effective way to measure our impact results. We've only started to brush the surface, and to do so in any kind of qualitative way, we're using the UN Sustainable Development Goals as a reference point, and we see that we kind of align with about 10 goals of the UN. Just to briefly go through, so no poverty, we do this, and as defined by the UN, we do this through inclusivity. We are trying to provide sustainable jobs and promoting equality, so everyone is welcome at Coconut, and we do a lot of things more through example than by directly talking about our direct work with these issues, but we are a very inclusive project, a very international project as well. Good health and well-being, this is by promoting healthy work-life balance through the Coconut project, also promoting the inclusion of nature in everyday life. Goal 5 with gender equality, we are 2 female co-founders, so again by example, but in addition to that, we also support female-run companies, and we are hosting meetups for mothers who would like to get back in the workforce, which is actually quite an issue in this area. For affordable clean energy, we've been able to access German subsidies to redo our energy concept on site. For goal number 8, for decent work and economic growth, we're supporting the development of remote work opportunities in the region. We're working again with Neuland an Zwanzig on a project to get rural-based companies to think about the possibility of offering remote work positions, as well as on the other side, promoting remote work as an option for people who are living in the countryside. So I think that you'll see a lot more happening there. And we were developing this before Corona, but obviously now this project has an even greater capacity to grow really quickly. So we're very excited about trying to use this weird opportunity we have where everyone has to work remotely. Sustainable cities and communities. We did successfully lobby finally for a bike path to be built between Bad Belzig and Klein-Glien, where we're located, as well as obviously the Smart Cities grant, which is probably a little bit we're very excited about it, obviously. 12 and 13, the responsible consumption and production and climate action we do through the way that we manage our place, our project. So waste management and certain things that we do are all considered in many of the decisions that we make on how we run the place. Life on land, so this is about managing forests, combating desertification. This is actually an issue in the area. We do what we can. We planted a lot of heritage fruit trees recently. Actually, this year we got a grant so that we could do so. Also, our overall garden concept includes having native plants and grasslands for the wild bees and butterflies, which is also very nice to have in the summertime. And 17 partnerships, I mean, that's actually very visible in this event where we are now. So I'm very excited about this Rural Shakers initiative, and I'm happy to see where it goes. So that's a little bit about Coconut, a few lessons learned. So some things that I just wanted to share with everybody about what we learned along the way. One big lesson that was to consider the place where your project is. It depends on what your project is and how you're developing. For us, we were looking for a long time for a place, and actually the region was not on our list at all of things that we were considering. We did a test run in 2015 in another location. The location like our project worked, but the location didn't work. Mostly we had a really bad internet connection, but another thing that we found was when we were turning in official documents for building permissions and things like this, there was a lot of hesitation, there was a lot of walls put up, and that was one of the reasons why we left the region, actually. So after that, we presented the project at a big event, and we were invited to this place where we're sitting now, which is Klein Lien in Hoa Fleming. And they wanted us to come. And actually, because they invited us to come, they wanted us to be here, they were actively looking for creative ways to develop the region. We have had this enormous amount of success. So this, I don't know, the effect of us being a catalyst in this region just was so much greater because we had so much support from the beginning. Another tip, I would say, for projects, especially for projects.
Sorry, Julian, 1 minute, please.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Just one more tip is if you're starting a project in a place you've never been before, find the community leader who's going to help you to get to know your local community. Frank is ours, and he's opened a lot of doors in our community. And last but not least is to invite the community to be a part of the project. So in December 2016, we ran a design thinking workshop with 60 participants, 30 from the region and 30 from the city, to see what we could do together, or what the dreams were and visions. We had to focus on the development of our business for sure, but we always had the local wishes at heart. So we host the local firefighters, we host the European voting, the council meetings, and the village festival, all here at Coconut, just to be a part of the community here. So those are like a few things to consider, and yeah, thank you. That's it.
Woohoo!
Thank you, Julian, for your, Diana, okay.
Hi, thank you so much, Julian. Very, very inspiring. I knew a bit of your story, but I am, really happy to have here the details. So we go to the next talk now, which is, and the last one, this is Maxime from Holy School. Holy School is not a location-based rural shaker. They have been organizing programs elsewhere in rural Europe and other, not necessarily urban area, rural areas, also urban areas. And they have had like 70 participants in their programs. They have contributed to create 25 social innovation projects. And they have been running educational programs for the 7 last years. So Maxime, now it's all yours to explain your impact story.
Diana, you might forgot Jan.
Yeah, but well, we can. Sorry, Jan. Sorry, I forward the slide. We can go on with Maxime now that presentation is done, and maybe Jan have a few more time to think on the speech. Sorry, Jan, I skipped that slide. I'm really sorry.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Maxim Dedushkov, and Hollis is one of the projects that I'm working on. So just briefly about myself, I'm a collective intelligence design researcher, which means I'm researching how can we connect the wisdom of crowd, big data, and technologies such as machine learning and artificial intelligence to basically having better insights and making better decisions. I'm a partner at the London-based collective intelligence network called Liminal, where we are working on projects that contributing to a more sustainable and equitable world. I'm a visiting lecturer at the Royal College of Art, where I'm usually teaching collective intelligence projects. And I'm part-time CEO at Clara Center for Rural Future in South Portugal. And I'm the founder of Hollis, the interdisciplinary summer school. So as you can see, Hollis is basically more or less a side project. So please watch this presentation with this information in mind. So it's not a full-time project. Everybody who works in this Hollis school is doing their job mostly voluntarily and part-time. All right. So yeah, I haven't prepared the presentation because I'm an extremely lazy person, and please don't take it as a disrespect. I just thought that the website contains all the information that I want to tell you today. So Hollis is a place-based interdisciplinary school that fosters social innovation through collaboration and collective intelligence. So what does it mean? So we are not a rural development initiative per se. So this is not our main goal. Our main goal is to organize a school which teaches our students or participants interdisciplinary collaboration. Basically, we inviting people, professionals and students from different disciplines, and we are putting them in a mixed team so they can learn how an economist, a sociologist, a designer, engineer, etc., can work together. But we always do it on real life projects, and this is where rural areas are coming in picture, that we always going to rural areas or most of the time, and we are having some local partners, and these local partners help us to identify some challenges that they are facing, and we are working on these projects with these local partners. So we are organizing summer schools like this one that we had to postpone, unfortunately, this year, but hopefully we'll organize it next year. Like one of them this year topic were early childhood development in the Visegrad region. This is a project that was that is funded by a foundation who were looking for a collaboration with us. And the other summer school will be organized in South Portugal at Clara. This is about activating the local community because our local partner identified that this is the biggest barrier for them to initiate any change, that the local community is quite passive. So very briefly, I just want to show you the teams. So these are the people who are making this possible, etc. So as you can see, and a very useful advisory board. So a lot of people are working on this part-time, which makes me very happy. But let's go to the projects that we've done so far, because Diana, who I want to thank for doing all this. I think that's a very, very important initiative, the Rule Shakers, and thanks Diana again for organizing this and inviting. I think it's a great start to get to know each other. So Diana asked me to talk about impact and projects we've done. So we organized 6 summer schools so far, and I will just mention you briefly what are the impact or outcome of these summer schools. So one of the first one was organized in Hungary, West Hungary. The problem or the challenge here was that the felt factory, which was part of the social fabric of this small city. So the felt factory was about to close because it lost its market. It was producing industrial felt, and with the developing of synthetic felt coming from China, they lost their market. So we developed some future scenarios to them, and I'm happy to tell you that there were some investors from the capital who've seen our project and our proposal how to develop this felt factory, and they bought the felt factory, and now it's a quite successful felt factory focusing on design products and serving designers, artists to use their felt for some artwork. They've been featured on the London Design Fair, etc., etc. So this is quite a huge success from our perspective. Next year, we've been working with people who just finished their work and were retired. And the challenge here was that these people were kind of confused of what's next, how can they be still useful and important for their community. So we run a summer school around this topic, aging opportunities, and the outcome of this summer school is a brochure or like a research on 60+ design. So if anybody is interested in this topic, it's quite a good research paper, I think, with a lot of examples of initiatives that are dealing with this topic of aging and how to stay active and contributing to your society. Then we ran a project in Romania about a castle that was bought by an investor. It wasn't such an interesting summer school, so I will go to the next one. Then we've been 2 times in Poland in the same place, investigating opportunities for local businesses to get more involved into the community, and also ways for local government to initiate and foster social innovation in this region. And well, it was an unexpected outcome, frankly, because the biggest impact that we achieved here is that our venue that just opened, we were the very first program that they were running. So this local venue started to organize similar projects. So this is Sobole in very east of Poland. So they were basically they've seen the opportunity in organizing similar projects, and they started to organize their own, which is also, I think it's a very good impact that they took the initiative. So they basically don't need us anymore to run similar programs. And finally, the last year we've been in Portugal, south of Portugal, helping this Clara Center for Rural Future to think about what kind of activities can they start to revitalize the region, the area where they are based. Besides introducing them like 5 different projects that they can immediately start implementing, and they using these projects to apply for different grants. So just a quick view on it. Where is it? Like, yeah, here you see so everything is highly documented of what we do, so you can have more information about these projects that we developed for them. So And I think one of the, oops, my time is up. One of the biggest impact that they asked me to be their CEO. So this is what we've got from this. And the learning from these things that we've did, I think for me, it's very simple. Like, get your intention right and have fun. This worked for us always. We don't like to overcomplicate things. This is how we roll. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Maxim. Thank you so much. Amazing story. Thank you so much. Yeah, very inspiring. I would like to take part of one of the programs sometime, hopefully soon, when the COVID situation is finished. So now, yeah, Jan is this is the last talk that we had here this afternoon, and he also comes from Germany. And he is part of Ramponier, which is a project that's been running for the last 5 years. And they have been hosting, welcoming and guiding diversity and wide range of people to inspire and help them to live in a rural area and to connect them with locations and rural projects. And they are counting that more or less 200 people contacted them or interviewed them, but more because they stopped counting 2 years ago. They have managed to reach 20 million people by media. And I've been counting the rural pioneers testimonials they have in the website, and they are more than 39. So Jan, thank you so much for taking part of this series of Rural Shaker impact stories. And from here, it's all yours.
Thank you, Diana. I hope you can hear me. Yeah, thank you. All right. As you said before, Diana, rural Germany is really, really moving on, especially in the east part of Germany. There are so many projects right now. When we moved 10 years ago to this very far out place in Saxony where we are living and working now, there was nearly nothing. But today we have a very, very huge network in East Germany, and nearly we all know each other, as I know Uleshka, or I know Coconut, I know the Zukunftsorte, and so on and so on. We meet regularly. Well, not this year and because of COVID, but we know each other and we work together on several projects. So I start my little funny presentation now. I'm going to share my screen. Come on. No. Oh, there it is. All right. So this is how it started 10 years ago. I spent most of my life in big cities. So about 30 years in big cities. And after 10 years in Berlin, I migrated to the countryside because I met a girl. And so this is my view out of the window in a very small place. Only 70 people are living here. And come on, it does not work. Let's do it this way. Okay. Yeah, and that's my view outside of the window. We are just 200 meters far away from the border to Poland in East Saxony. We work in our house and we work in our garden. And then we noticed the trend. We noticed that there are many, many people from urban areas who want to migrate to rural areas. And we realized that we are testimonials. We are part of this trend. And then we thought, so why shouldn't we start a project to support all those people who want to migrate to rural areas? So that started in 2015. And after we just posted some friendly words on our business homepage, the first visitors came from Berlin and from Potsdam, and Well, we started our consultancy in our garden. So from 2015 to 2017, we worked on a voluntary basis, but very, very soon we realized it takes too much time, and on one hand we have to work to earn our money for food and bread and etc., and on the other hand we want to manage this project. So we were funded by the state of Saxony and later on by the Robert Bosch Foundation. And on this screen you can see our main thought, how we work, because we noticed that most of the people who contacted us, one of their first question is, are there people like me and you? Will I get, will I socialize there? Will I make contacts? And we say, yes, they are there, but normally they are not visible. So our job is to make them visible. And nowadays we have about 40 portraits on our homepage with very, very different people. And you can contact all of them and just say, hi, I just want to meet you, talk to you, and please tell me what it's all about to live in a rural area. And it works quite good, what we are doing. Like Diana said, within the years, we had hundreds and hundreds of contacts and people coming here to our small place to talk to us, thousands of emails, and so on and so on. And well, we have lots of partners, we have lots of fundings, we won several prizes, and next screen. And here is why, a little bit why. Because I'm a journalist and I'm coming from public relations and marketing work, I know what communication means. So we communicate what we do, and we do not do it only local, but Germany-wide. So because of that, our message gets really, really boosted by print, by TV, by radio, social media, and so on and so on. Even, yeah, here you can see social media. We have a very well running profile on Facebook. And yes, we created several types of events, like this one, which we call Landebahn für Landlustige, which just means we bring together people from urban areas with those people who are still here in the urban area. It's a big get-together event, a whole day event, and we have speeches, workshops, cinema, exhibitions, and at least local food, which is very, very nice here. Or here, we're always looking for very spectacular places, like those industrial places, and come on, here. And this is, again, something we invented. This is our space mobile. So we are, we have lots of speeches in bigger cities, and people invite us to several events. So we said, okay, we need a special marketing tool. Yeah, let's say it like this. And so we bought this first fire truck. Nowadays we have 2 fire trucks and a really big one. And yes, we do marketing. You can see here a rolling poster which was standing in Berlin and in Dresden and in other cities. Go on, go on. Yeah. And we are working with very positive pictures, like this one, a consultancy in the garden. The guy you can see on the left is an ex-business school CEO from West Germany who decided to move to a rural area, at least here in East Saxony. We get visitors all around the year. Here you can see visitors from the federal state of Saxony. We went to meetups like this one here in Berlin. On the left side, you can see Philipp Henschel from Coconut or Hofpredico Project. Come on. One of our events here is the so-called Future Cinema, where we show movies, and movies in very rural areas, but movies with rural stories. So, like this one, I don't know the title in English. And yeah, many people, many places, have fun. This is the right intention. Come on. Okay, Corona destroyed all of our plans this year. All of our events for this year were really smashed. So we were thinking about what can we do now to bring our project forward. And we decided we are going to open up satellites of our project in other parts of East Germany. And nowadays we have 3 satellites, 2 in Northeast Germany and 1 in Poland, just behind the German-Polish border. So what can I say else? Go away. Go away, go away. It does not go away. No. Well, I don't see the buttons right now. And I can't stop my screening here. Oh yeah, yet now it works. Yeah. Thank you so much. So learnings is very important. Learnings, yeah, well, as Maxim said, the intention is you must have fun. You must have fun, and I can say you must have time. In the beginning, I was quite naive. I thought I can manage things in weeks or just a few months. I had to learn it takes years to bring a project really into public and make it run. So, well, and coming back to Juliane, yes, it's so important to talk to the community, to talk to the major, to go to the politicians and all of these people. Nowadays, we have very, very good contacts into our local government, to our prime minister, and so on and so on. And that's how it works. Yeah, well, thank you for now. And I'm waiting for your questions.
Thank you so much, Jan. Very, very inspiring. Amazing work. I'm really excited to have these projects together in just 1 hour. And I think that's pretty much the goal of this. So having all this inspiration in very small pieces of time. And so now it's time for questions. We will designate like around 10 minutes for questions to the speakers. You can share them in the Zoom chat. And after those 10 minutes, we will launch 3 questions for you, the community, about next steps and what would you expect and so on. So maybe you can start by the questions. So please go ahead. And if you've been writing questions to the different talks and speakers, feel free to share. And we will answer them by order of appearance in the chat. Okay. Yes, I think there's some delay. There's one question from Shaun. The ones we are most interested in are at the start. Thanks in advance. To projects that use volunteers, how did you attract them to your project and how did you make sure they had the right skills you needed? So questions about volunteers. Second question, what advice would you offer for obtaining funding during my project's startup phase, so early stages? And how did you choose who would be on your staff and what role they would have? there's many other questions, but I want to be a bit generous with other people because it's just 10 minutes. So maybe we can start answering the first question about the volunteers. How did you attract them, and how do you know in advance they had the right skills? If you want to answer.
I could answer a little bit about us.
Okay.
If it matters, I don't know.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So we actually when we started out, we didn't plan to have volunteers. I'm actually curious about some of the other projects too. So I'll try to keep it short. But we were told, hey, you guys could easily have volunteers here to help you out, and so we started looking into platforms. We used to use a different one. Right now we use a platform called World Packers. And we also have the opportunity listed on our website to be here as an exchange. For us, it's very important that the people who come to help with our project also that it's a two-way street. We don't want it to be that we are just taking someone's energy and time, but that they also feel empowered to do their own work through working with us. So we set it up in a way that we have a 20-hour exchange, and then we have certain tasks we need to cover, but when we have enough people here to do all of that, then we develop projects together with those people that use their skills to work with us. Actually, Anna, she's on here. She made a comment. So she is here, and she said, hey, I really love doing social media. Can I also do that as part of my exchange? And we developed like a whole crazy social media marketing strategy. It's been really great. And she's also working on her own project also, so we don't take all their time. I really recommend the platform World Packers, but we also get a lot of interested parties just on our website. So we also make it obvious on the website that you can come here as an exchange. And then we also are very clear about the tasks that we want help with. And when people approach us, maybe somebody approaches us and say, hey, I want to do this or that. And we say, okay, first, this is what we really need. Can you help us with this? And we have phone calls if they want to stay for longer, for sure. And yeah, I mean, like, definitely be very clear what you need so that you can communicate what you need, and then you will be able to find people easier. And just like also to keep in mind that to be careful about accidental exploitation, because sometimes people get really excited about your project. And I have to stop people sometimes and say, hey, actually, I love that you want to do so much, but actually, please, I don't want you to only work on our project. Like, you should be doing your own stuff too. So I think it's good to keep like the balance, like to be really clear so you can give that information, but also keep an eye on other people's energy.
Nice. Many questions coming in. Thank you, Julian. There's another question about funding I would like to take quickly. I don't think personally it's such a good idea to take funding in an early stage in any case, from our own experience. And especially if you want to do a space-based project, I would advise to look into some kind of collaboration with the owner, especially if this is the government. And because at the end, what you are doing is helping them getting more inhabitants. So maybe you could get some sort of an exchange of the space. So you dynamize the village for 1-2 years and they cover the space and probably the renovations, so that you don't need the funding for acquiring your own space or renting it. And you can just focus on building your community, which I find is the most important part. Like finding your customers, if you are an entrepreneur, it's pretty much the same. I don't know if you guys want to add or contradict that perspective on the initial funding. You are all mute, so if anybody of the speakers is talking, it's not being heard.
Well, I still don't have my own project, so I'm just kind of talking about out of the theory box and out of talking to other people. I think when it comes to funding, there are just quite a few different models, and I think they're all quite valid, and as always, you have to really know kind of like what your goal is, what you want to do. Yeah, for example, in this class that we're having, this kind of like peer-to-peer learning class, there's one person who he happened to have the land because he had the land from his father, and then he got very excited about it and just kind of like invited everybody to come over. So he had this great, crazy utopian community right from the start who did everything, but nobody wanted to pay anything. And then because the financial situation was so not clear in the beginning, when he then said, okay, but we have to have some kind of financial system, it's like the worst community story I ever heard. And it just went completely, just like everything went wrong. And so he now had to start completely with a clean slate. It all went to court and stuff was damaged. Like it went like really, really bad. And now he's just starting saying like, okay, you know what? I am the owner. I get my kind of funding. I pay for everything and you are all just renting from me. That's a model that I personally wouldn't want so much, but I think it doesn't mean that, I think if you want to build a community, it doesn't always have to be that, you know, everybody is on the same level and everybody has the same rights and everybody has to put in the same amount of money. I think there are very many different models. So what like Joaf said, you know, it sounded like a totally amazing model to me. You know, everything's crowdfunded, everybody does everybody. That has certain challenges and issues, but that is totally valid. If you have a strong community, go for it, you know.
Thank you.
If you have a different setting, it can be completely different. I think there are very many options.
Yeah, definitely. It depends on the project, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's important for me. I think it's important funding not to be the blocker for you to start. That's the main part. Maybe it's a reframing of the previous answer. So I would say more questions. I'm doing screenshots of the questions, so asynchronously we can also answer them. But I would say we have one more question to answer. Let me see. I'm just going to randomly take it. Don't worry, because if we're going to answer now, I'm going to try to answer later on, and maybe send it to you through all the registrations in the chat. Okay. My question, okay, 1 second. Working in rural areas about internet connection. Just want to be, okay, let's do that. My concern about working in the rural areas is bad internet connection because of strong internet, because strong internet is vital. How do speakers address it? I can speak about the very, very crisis we just had now in a rural co-living program. We're still working on it, but I'm going to pass it to some of the speakers. Otherwise, I will get too emotional. So go ahead. This is the big topic. Yeah, the most basic one.
I just say really quick, we had I think the problem with having such an international group is that every country has a different thing going on, and surprisingly rural Germany is not so ahead of the game. Actually, I'm surprised to hear, I was in Spain and I felt like I had 4G connection everywhere, and like I went to rural Egypt and I had 4G everywhere, and like rural Germany there's nothing. And when we found this place, we'd already had the experience of being in a place with really bad internet connection. We spent 4 months trying to get a good connection, and the only viable option in the end was spending privately 50,000 euros to set up to get the fiberglass to come to our village, which was just not possible. It was one of the biggest reasons why we left that place. When we found this place, we had a high-speed internet connection on site, and it was like clear that was a super big win. So it was a really big part of our decision to take the place. Mm-hmm. So I think you just always will have to ask the places before you go how their internet connection is. I mean, I think everywhere in the world is trying to get the rural space to be better connected. They for sure are here, but like, yeah, the only thing I can say is you have to ask before you go, because you really don't know otherwise. I'm curious about other people's solution.
Yeah, maybe somebody else can share about the internet connection, some of the other speakers. Otherwise, I have another last question. Come on. Yeah, let's squeeze another question here. Maxime, Jan.
Well, last time we've been in Portugal, we just used mobile internet and it worked very well. There was like 40 people using one mobile net connection, and it worked flawlessly. So, and I think once they rolling out the 5G network in rural areas as well, there won't be any question anymore about internet connection. Just be patient.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another question, last one, which is quite connected to that. I'm always wondering how to find such a place to start out with a rural project. First of all, look for a place that ideally have internet connection. And from here, what would be the next step to have into account that you have from your experience, Johan and Jan and Julian? Yeah.
I think like if the question was probably to where do you find these places, right? Like where do you find spaces?
So what criteria do you have into account to decide where to do it?
What criteria to decide where to do it?
Well, that's what I understood. I think I would go into internet and who is already there doing interesting things. Because if you are going to be alone there, I wouldn't start by there because you have to open the path, and that's really tough unless you have a lot of money and yeah, you can invest like 2-3 years of your life just doing that.
Yeah.
Anybody want to ask something else about what to have into account? Yeah, Jan, go ahead.
Well, Andreas Bock asked this question about experience with heritage protection. I think I can answer some to this question, but it will be too much for now because there's very much to say about that, very complicated things, etc., etc. But Andreas, you are invited to contact me by email or telephone, whatever you like. Coming back to internet, I just have a copper line here. No, nothing more. The slowest line available, but because here are so less people in my little village, I think I'm the only one now using the telephone line for the internet, so it works.
The hotspot from mobile is the last very option. Thank you, Jan. So
just for other things to consider, and what we really considered was like how people get to your place. So it depends on what you want to do. If you want people to stay for 2 weeks, it really doesn't matter how long it takes to get there. But if you want people to stay for just 1 or 2 days, then you should make sure that accessibility is possible because people won't come if it's too hard. It'll be more difficult for them to come. I mean, and it also depends on your country. If people go by car, then you should consider how long it is by car. If it's Germany, you have to consider train. So definitely accessibility is a topic, and you should definitely consider the types of projects you have at your place depending on how difficult to get to your place.
Okay, good. So we are about 2 minutes to the finish, and I'm really thankful for all the contributions and the questions. I'm doing screenshots of the questions that are pending for answer. We're gonna try with the team to get them answered in another moment with the speakers, and hopefully we can keep on going with the conversations. And to finish with that, I would like to launch the last question, which is, after attending the first talk, how would you like this initiative to go on? Of course, we are planning to go on with the inspirational talks and rural impact, rural shaker impact stories. Pretty much every time, the more candidates that we receive and the more quality of impact we receive, we will go on with that. So we would also like to know, how would you envision this initiative to go on? Remember that we also have some things maybe planned at some point, like training, mentoring, maybe Q&As, maybe incubation, acceleration programs, maybe a yearly encounter or yearly summit, hopefully physically. So please feel free to share in the chat. What would you like this network that is aimed at supporting, giving visibility, creating community from rural shakers like us elsewhere in the world? how would you imagine this could follow? What would you like to receive in your email from the initiative? And of course, if you want to get involved, you can get in touch directly with me, because we are looking for co-initiators, and we need hands. Thank you. Sorry, Juleska, you were going to say something. You are muted now. No.
I just wanted to say what I wish to have.
Yes, go for it. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think you already mentioned that it can develop in many ways. You know, you already suggested all the things that could happen. Personally, I like this format, and I would just be very happy if it would kind of like have the snowball effect where we get to hear about more projects about other parts of the world. For example, I also invited my friend Akiko, who's here now, who's connected to Japan. Mm-hmm. I would just be very happy if we could continue this meeting, you know, exchanging our contacts and then hearing stories from many different other countries, or maybe have a focus on one country each time, something like that, to really like learn what it takes to have this globally, and then maybe have a very short summary or something like a knowledge base where we can look up what happened.
Cool. That's a great idea.
Have some main criteria. I don't know, like what was it? What's the financial form? What's the group form? You know, some questions, like a little questionnaire that you fill out for each project. Mm-hmm. Then like who you are, what's special in your country, something like that. So we have like a little, like a telephone book of the world.
Really nice.
How projects.
Yeah. We have a lot of work to do, I see, because we were like 50 people today. We weren't expecting so many people. Let's see how many of you can join also tomorrow. I cannot guarantee the speakers are going to be translated real time. We would have loved that to happen, but it depends on the presentation software they are using. In some cases it's allowed, in other cases not. But if you understand Spanish, come along, use the same user theme and link that you received from this talk, because it's going to be pretty much the same. And you will hear 5 more speakers. You can check the website to see who is going to explain the Rural Shaker impact story in Spanish tomorrow. So that's pretty much all. Sorry about the small delay. I hope you enjoy it. And we will look into opening other channels for going on with the conversation, and we'll keep you posted about ideas and initiatives. You can also send us ideas in the website if you have some ideas based on this first talk. So pretty much all. I would just say open your mix, say bye-bye, and hopefully see you tomorrow and every single Rural Shaker impact stories from now on.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.